Several conflicts and problems are leading us towards a third world war because they are throwing into conflict the world's major powers. However, it seems that what really will provoke this new global conflict will be a self-directed nuclear false flag attack in the US or one of its allies. The terrorist attacks that are taking place and the constant feeding of fear by the media about the ISIS terrorist group and the possibility of going even further in their attacks make the possibility of a nuclear terrorist attack seem ever more likely. Not only the media, but also those puppets of the financial economic elite, which we call our political leaders, are making considerable efforts to make the population believe that such terrorist groups will sooner or later get hold of nuclear weapons with which to attack the West. Proof of this was the multilateral April meeting in Washington, in which 50 countries met to discuss the high probability that ISIS is seeking radioactive weapons. In my opinion, it is a very clear campaign to convince citizens that when such an event occurs, there will be little room for doubt that the perpetrators were Islamic State. But how is it possible that Western countries having powerful intelligence and espionage services, counting on satellites and other sophisticated technology, with large armies and with numerous allies in the Middle East, have not yet been able to stop this terrorist group? Taking into account that these countries have been bombarding ISIS since 2014 with a coalition of 40 countries. 40. Why have we not blocked the bank accounts of its leaders and beneficiaries, as is done by applying sanctions to countries like Russia or Venezuela? I am not trying to simplify the problem, because the real problem is that this is not being done because ISIS, like Al-Qaeda, are an organization created and funded by the same people who supposedly hunt them. Organizations whose sole use is to provoke chaos within their own countries, and thus create the pretext for their invasion by other countries in the interest of the elite. These terrorists will also serve the elite by providing obvious culprits for the planned self-inflicted attacks, such as the imminent nuclear false flag attack about to happen. The aim of this imminent self-inflicted attack is to place the blame on ISIS and Iran, so that the US and their allies can launch the invasion of the Iranian nation and other countries like Syria under the pretext of ending ISIS once and for all, and punish Iran for its alleged involvement in the attack. Western powers, which reached an agreement with Iran to lift the economic sanctions imposed on it for its suspected nuclear program, will, in the aftermath of the self-inflicted nuclear attack, argue that Iran has lied and has been in breach of the aforementioned agreement, and therefore has all this time been taking advantage of the lifted sanctions to create nuclear weapons. The USA and its allies will use this alleged breach of the nuclear agreement as an excuse to invade Iran. It will be, of course, a huge lie with which to sway public opinion, because as you can see, ISIS is funded and sponsored by the US government and its allies. Following this self-inflicted attack, it is believed that the US government would take control of Iran for its oil wealth, and thus maintain its coveted position as first world power against the rapid development of China and Russia in their efforts to seize the position. Thus, the only option open to the United States is to strike first and try to emerge victorious from this war, which would be triggered by a self-inflicted attack, and therefore defeat its main rivals. But it is impossible to conceive that anyone could win in a nuclear war, which would only create losers. So what interests really lie behind this war? If the US invasion of Iran occurred, what would happen? China and Russia, both allies of Iran, would enter the conflict in defense of the Muslim country, which would surely result in the direct confrontation between these three great powers.
Thus, unleashing the Third World War.
If you want to find out the true aims of this world war, click on the link below.